Mark and I were the couple everyone looked up to. We met in college, a classic story of a library meet-cute that blossomed into something I thought was indestructible. We built our life from the ground up, brick by brick. We celebrated every small victory, from my first promotion at the architecture firm to him finally landing his dream job as a high school history teacher. He was my rock, the steady hand that held mine through every storm. Our home was filled with laughter, the smell of his Sunday morning pancakes, and a love I believed was absolute. He gave me everything, not just material things, but his time, his patience, his unwavering support. He was the kind of husband who'd leave little notes on the fridge just to make me smile, the kind who'd listen for hours about my stressful day, even when he was exhausted himself. He gave me his whole heart, placing it in my hands without a second thought. And I, in my carelessness, let it fall. It started subtly, so subtly I barely noticed it myself. A new project at work brought me into close contact with a colleague, Alex. He was charismatic, witty, and he saw a side of me that wasn't Mark's wife. He saw the ambitious architect, the woman who could command a boardroom. Our late nights at the office, fueled by coffee and shared ambition, slowly blurred the lines between professional and personal. It began with a lingering glance, a hand on my arm that lasted a second too long, a lunch that felt more like a date. I told myself it was harmless, a small thrill in an otherwise predictable life. I was juggling the comfort of my marriage with the intoxicating excitement of this new attention. I convinced myself I could keep the two worlds separate, that what Mark didn't know wouldn't hurt him. I was a fool to believe that a secret of this magnitude could ever stay buried. The guilt was a low hum at first, but soon it became a roaring fire, threatening to consume everything I held dear. The deception was exhausting. I became a master of alibis, a weaver of intricate lies. Working late on the Henderson project, I'd say, my voice steady while my heart hammered against my ribs. Team dinner, you know how it is. I started guarding my phone like it was a state secret, deleting call logs and text messages, my thumb moving with a speed born of pure panic. Every time Mark's phone would light up with a notification, my own stomach would plummet. The double life was chipping away at me. I was irritable, distant. The easy laughter that once filled our home was replaced by a tense silence. Mark, in his gentle way, tried to breach the wall I was building. "Is everything okay, honey? You seem stressed," he'd ask, his eyes full of a concern that only made my guilt heavier. I'd brush him off, blaming work, blaming anything but the truth. The man who knew me better than anyone was becoming a stranger, and it was entirely my fault. I was living on a precipice, and the ground beneath my feet was beginning to crumble. The breaking point arrived on what should have been a day of celebration, our 10th wedding anniversary. Mark had gone all out. He recreated our first date, complete with the same terrible Italian restaurant we'd laughed about for years. He'd even found a similar, ridiculously patterned tie to the one he'd worn that night. He handed me a small, beautifully wrapped box. Inside was a locket, and engraved on the back were the words, "My whole heart, forever." In that moment, the full weight of my betrayal crashed down on me. I looked at this incredible man, this beacon of goodness and love, and I saw the devastation I was about to unleash. I couldn't do it anymore. The lies had become a poison, and I was drowning in them. Later that evening, as we sat in the quiet of our living room, the anniversary gifts sitting between us like a cruel joke, I finally broke. The words tumbled out, ugly and clumsy. "Mark," I started, my voice trembling, "there's something I have to tell you." The silence that followed my confession was the most terrifying sound I have ever heard. It was heavier than any argument, deeper than any scream. I watched the love and trust drain from Mark's eyes, replaced by a confusion that quickly hardened into a pain so profound it was physical to witness. He didn't yell. He didn't throw things. He just sat there, the locket still in his hand, looking at me as if he'd never seen me before. "Why?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. It was a simple question with no simple answer. How could I explain that I had traded our lifetime of love for a fleeting moment of excitement? How could I justify shattering the heart of the one person who had only ever shown me kindness? He stood up, walked to our bedroom, and came back with a suitcase. He didn't pack much. As he walked to the door, he stopped and looked back at me, the locket now on the coffee table. "You didn't just break my heart," he said, his voice flat and devoid of all emotion. "You broke us." And then he was gone. The days that followed were a hollow echo of the life we once had. The house felt cavernous, every room a monument to my failure. His side of the bed remained cold. His coffee mug sat unwashed in the sink. His scent slowly faded from his pillow. The silence was no longer tense. It was absolute. It was the sound of absence, the sound of a future being erased. Alex, the source of this destruction, was a ghost. The thrill was gone, replaced by the stark reality of what I had done. He tried to call, but his name on my screen only brought a fresh wave of nausea. This wasn't a romance, it was a mistake, a catastrophic error in judgment that had cost me everything that mattered. I had traded a diamond for a piece of glass, and now I was left with only the shards. I would wander through the house, tracing the life we built, a ghost in my own home. I was surrounded by the evidence of our love, and it was a constant, brutal reminder of what I had single-handedly destroyed. Weeks turned into months. The divorce papers arrived in a sterile manila envelope, another cold, formal step in dismantling our shared existence. I signed them without protest. What right did I have to contest anything? I had forfeited that right the moment I chose to betray him. I saw Mark once during the process, across a lawyer's mahogany table. He looked thinner, tired. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The warmth he once radiated was gone, replaced by a polite, impenetrable wall. We were two strangers finalizing a business transaction. There was no anger left, just a vast, empty space where our love used to be. The finality of his signature on the papers was like a gavel striking down on our life together. It was official. We were no longer us. I was just me. And I had never felt more alone. The secret I had harbored had done its job. It had destroyed the most precious thing I had ever been given. I wish I could say there was some grand lesson in all of this, a neat and tidy moral to the story. But the truth is much messier. The aftermath of my actions wasn't a dramatic movie scene. It was a long, quiet, and painful process of rebuilding from the rubble I created. I lost more than a husband. I lost my best friend, my confidant, and my home. I had to learn to live with the consequences of my choices, to stare my reflection in the eye, and accept the person I had become. It was a brutal education. The pain I caused Mark is a scar I will carry forever, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the devastation of betrayal. He deserved a love that was whole and honest, and I failed to give him that. I threw away a masterpiece for a cheap thrill, and that is a regret that will follow me for the rest of my days. Recovery is not a straight line. It's a slow, arduous journey of self-reflection and accountability. I eventually sought therapy to understand the emptiness inside me that led me to seek validation elsewhere, to understand why I would risk everything for something so meaningless. It's a process, and it's far from over. I hear through mutual friends that Mark is doing okay. He's still teaching, still inspiring kids with his passion for history. They say he even smiles again, a genuine smile that I feared I had erased forever. And that, in a strange way, brings a sliver of peace. He is healing, and he is moving on, and he deserves every bit of happiness the world has to offer. My story is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that the choices we make in the shadows can have devastating consequences in the light. Trust, once shattered, is nearly impossible to piece back together. And a heart, once given so completely, should be cherished above all else. Thank you so much for watching and for allowing me to share this deeply personal story. It's a difficult part of my past, but one I feel is important to talk about. If you've been through something similar, or if this story resonated with you, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It means the world. Thank you, and take care.